Stop explaining your life. 10 powerful Stoic lessons that will change your mindset forever. Have you ever felt the need to explain yourself? To justify your decisions? Your choices? Your life? Maybe someone questioned your path. Maybe they didn't understand your ambition. Maybe they criticized your decisions. Maybe they laughed at your dreams. And suddenly, you felt the urge to explain everything. To prove them wrong. To defend your choices. To make them understand. But here's the harsh truth. The more you explain your life, the more you give others control over it. This is something the ancient Stoic philosophers understood deeply. Men like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca lived in a world filled with criticism, judgment, and misunderstanding. Yet they mastered one powerful principle. A wise person does not waste energy explaining their life to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. Because when you constantly explain yourself, you slowly surrender your peace. You begin to seek validation instead of living with purpose. And that is where your power disappears. Here is 10 powerful Stoic lessons that will completely change how you see criticism, judgment, and the need to justify your life. By the end of this video, you will understand why silence is often stronger than explanation, why the strongest people rarely defend themselves, and why the Stoics believed that your life should be lived, not explained. 1. Not everyone deserves an explanation. One of the hardest truths in life is this: not everyone deserves access to your reasoning. We live in a world where people feel entitled to explanations. They ask questions like, why are you doing that? Why did you leave that job? Why did you end that relationship? Why are you changing your life? But here's what Stoicism teaches. Most people are not asking to understand you. They are asking so they can judge you. Epictetus once said something powerful. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. In other words, your life should speak louder than your explanations. Think about this. When a lion walks through the jungle, it does not stop to explain itself to the monkeys. It simply walks with confidence. The Stoics believed the same principle applies to life. The more you try to justify your decisions to everyone, the more you invite unnecessary opinions into your life. And opinions are dangerous, because they can slowly weaken your confidence. Instead of explaining your life, live it with quiet conviction. Let people misunderstand you if they must. Peace is more valuable than approval. 2. People will misunderstand you anyway. Here is a brutal truth. No matter how clearly you explain yourself, some people will still misunderstand you. Why? Because people don't hear what you say. They hear what they believe. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "You always own the option of having no opinion." But most people choose the opposite. They form opinions quickly. They judge quickly. They misunderstand quickly. And once someone has decided who they think you are, no explanation can change their mind. So why waste your energy? Imagine spending hours defending your choices, explaining your dreams, justifying your decisions, only to realize they already decided you were wrong. The Stoics understood something powerful. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control something far more important: your character, your actions, your discipline. Let people misunderstand you. Great people throughout history were misunderstood. Visionaries were called crazy. Philosophers were mocked. Innovators were criticized. Yet they continued walking their path without explanation. And that is true power. 3. Explaining yourself drains your energy. Energy is your most valuable resource. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of mental and emotional energy. You can spend it on growth, or you can waste it on arguments. Explaining yourself constantly is one of the fastest ways to drain your energy. Think about how exhausting it is. You explain your goals. Someone doubts you. You explain again. They question you again. You defend yourself again. And suddenly your entire focus shifts from building your life to defending it. Seneca warned about this centuries ago. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most of the battles we fight are unnecessary. Arguments, explanations, defenses, all of it drains the mind." But Stoicism teaches a powerful alternative. Instead of explaining your life, invest that energy into building it. Let your results speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your actions speak. Silence often communicates strength more clearly than words. 4. Silence is a form of power. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Many people think silence means weakness. But the Stoics knew the truth. Silence often means control. When someone criticizes you, your instinct may be to defend yourself, to argue, to prove them wrong. But Stoicism asks a different question. Is this argument necessary? Marcus Aurelius practiced something powerful. When someone insulted him, he would pause and ask himself, is this true? If it was true, he improved himself. If it was false, he ignored it. Simple. No emotional reaction. No explanation. Just clarity. Silence protects your peace. Because when you refuse to argue with every opinion, you remove unnecessary chaos from your life. And peace becomes your natural state. 5. Your results will speak louder. There is a powerful saying, work in silence. Let success make the noise. The Stoics understood this deeply. Your life should not be built on explanations. It should be built on results. Think about the most respected people in the world. They rarely argue online. They rarely defend themselves publicly. They simply continue working. Why? Because success silences doubt. When you constantly explain your plans, you seek validation before results. But when you focus on execution, your achievements speak for you. Let people doubt you. Let them misunderstand your journey. In time, your results will tell the story. 6. Most criticism comes from insecurity. Another important Stoic insight. People who constantly question your life are often struggling with their own. Seneca observed something fascinating about human nature. People project their fears onto others. If someone lacks courage, they may criticize your ambition. If someone fears change, they may question your growth. If someone regrets their own choices, they may attack yours. But their criticism is not about you. It is about them. Explaining your life to such people will never satisfy them. Because the real issue is not your decision. It is their insecurity. And once you understand this, you stop feeling the need to defend yourself. You simply continue walking your path. 7. The need for approval is a trap. Many people explain their lives for one simple reason. They want approval. They want others to say, "You're making the right decision." But Stoicism teaches a different philosophy. Your life should not depend on applause. Because the moment your happiness depends on approval, you lose your independence. Marcus Aurelius wrote something powerful. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Think about that. You know your intentions. You know your values. You know your direction. Yet you still look outward for validation. The Stoic mindset breaks this pattern. You stop seeking approval. And when you stop seeking approval, you stop explaining yourself. 8. Strong people walk alone sometimes. One painful reality of growth is this. Not everyone will understand your journey. When you change your habits, when you pursue bigger goals, when you begin thinking differently, some people will question you. Some will doubt you. Some may even walk away. But Stoicism teaches that solitude is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. Because solitude allows clarity. It allows focus. It allows transformation. Many of the greatest thinkers in history spent long periods alone. Not because they hated people, but because growth requires distance from noise. And when you stop explaining yourself, you naturally create that distance. 9. Your life is not a debate. Your life is not a courtroom. You do not need to present evidence for every decision you make. Yet many people live as if they're constantly on trial, explaining their career, explaining their relationships, explaining the dreams. But Stoicism rejects this mindset. Your life belongs to you, not to the crowd, not to the critics, not to the spectators. You are the architect of your life. And architects do not argue with every passerby about how they build their structures. They simply build. 10. Live a life that needs no explanation. The final Stoic lesson is the most powerful. Instead of explaining your life, live a life that explains itself. Let your discipline speak. Let your kindness speak. Let your integrity speak. Let your courage speak. Marcus Aurelius never tried to convince the world he was a good leader. He simply focused on being one. And that is the Stoic way. You do not need endless words. You need strong actions. Because in the end, people may doubt your explanations. But they cannot ignore your life. Not every battle is worth your words. One of the greatest signs of wisdom is knowing when to remain silent. Many people believe strength means always defending yourself. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Real strength is the ability to choose your battles carefully. Imagine arguing with someone who has already decided that you are wrong. No matter what logic you present, no matter how calmly you speak, their mind is already closed. So what happens? The conversation turns into conflict. Your energy drains. Your peace disappears. And nothing actually changes. Epictetus warned about this type of situation. He believed that arguing with stubborn minds is like trying to teach philosophy to someone who refuses to listen. It is pointless. Instead, Stoics focus on what truly matters. Their actions, their discipline, their character. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every criticism deserves an explanation. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Silence is not surrender. Silence is strategic strength. Your time is too valuable. Every day of your life is limited. Every hour is precious. And yet many people waste countless hours explaining their lives to others. Think about how often this happens. You explain your goals. Someone doubts you. You try to convince them. You debate your choices. You defend your plans. Hours pass. Days pass. Weeks pass. And suddenly you realize something painful. All that time could have been spent actually building your future. Seneca spoke about this deeply in his writings. He believed the greatest tragedy in life is not death. It is wasting time on meaningless things. And constant explanation is one of those meaningless things. Your dreams require energy. Your growth requires focus. Your success requires discipline. So the question becomes simple. Would you rather spend your time talking about your life, or building it? Stoicism teaches that the wise person always chooses the second option. Confidence does not need defense. When someone is truly confident in their path, they do not feel the need to defend it. Think about a mountain. The mountain does not argue with the wind. It simply stands, strong, unmovable, calm. The Stoics believed that confidence should be exactly like that. Quiet, stable, unshaken by criticism. But insecurity behaves differently. Insecure people constantly defend themselves. They explain every choice. They try to convince everyone around them. Because deep down, they are unsure. Marcus Aurelius practiced something powerful. He focused only on what he could control. His thoughts, his actions, his character. Other people's opinions, those were outside his control. And once you accept this truth, you stop trying to manage how everyone sees you. You simply become who you are meant to be. That is real confidence. People respect action more than words. Words are easy. Anyone can talk about discipline. Anyone can talk about ambition. Anyone can talk about success. But actions reveal the truth. The Stoics valued action above everything. Because words can deceive, but actions cannot. If you constantly explain your goals, people may listen politely, but deep down, they remain skeptical. However, when you begin producing results, everything changes. When people see your growth, your consistency, your transformation, they stop asking questions. They stop doubting, because results silence critics more effectively than explanations ever could. This is why many successful people rarely speak about their plans. They simply work, quietly, relentlessly, and eventually, their results become undeniable. Your peace is your greatest wealth. The final Stoic lesson may be the most important of all: peace. True inner peace. In the modern world, peace is rare. People argue constantly. They defend their opinions online. They try to win every debate. They explain their lives to strangers. And slowly, their minds become exhausted. But the Stoics believed peace was the greatest form of wealth. Clarity comes from within. When you are unsure about your path, you seek external validation. But when you have clarity, explanations become unnecessary. Clarity comes from reflection, not from approval. Because without peace, success feels empty. Achievement feels stressful. Life feels chaotic. Protecting your peace sometimes requires something simple. Let people misunderstand you. Let them question you. Let them think whatever they want. Because the moment you stop trying to control their opinions, you reclaim your freedom. And freedom leads to peace. When your mind becomes calm, your life becomes powerful. At the end of the day, Stoicism teaches one powerful truth. You cannot control what people think about you. You cannot control how they judge your life. You cannot control their opinions. But you can control something far more important: your mindset, your discipline, your actions, your character. So stop explaining your life to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. Stop seeking approval from those who do not walk your path. Stop defending your dreams. Instead, build a life so strong, so disciplined, so purposeful, that it needs no explanation at all. Because in the end, the Stoic does not argue with the world. The Stoic masters himself. Growth sometimes looks strange. When you begin improving yourself, people notice. Some will support you, others will question you. But growth often looks strange to those who remain the same. Let people think what they want. Trying to control people's perceptions is exhausting and impossible. Eventually, the Stoic learns to let go. Let people think what they want. Your peace is more valuable than their approval. Build a life that speaks for itself. Instead of explaining your dreams, work on them. Instead of defending your values, live by them. Over time, your life becomes the message. Imagine a life where criticism doesn't disturb your peace. Where misunderstandings don't shake your confidence. Where other people's opinions no longer control your choices. This is the Stoic way. A quiet strength. A calm mind. A life lived with purpose rather than explanation. Because at the end of the day, You were not born to convince everyone. You were born to live according to your values. And when you do that consistently, your life will speak louder than any explanation ever could. If this message helped you see life differently, remember this. The strongest people don't waste time explaining themselves. They invest that time building their life. And if you want to develop a powerful Stoic mindset, subscribe and continue the journey. Because mastering your mind is the greatest victory you will ever achieve.